I'm Amy from Fox Run, and today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons and my thoughts about off-grid life. I have about almost 30 years of living off-grid experience. I bought my first farm in southern Ohio in the early 90s when I was only in my mid-20s, and I sold that farm in 2000. We spent a couple of years in the city so my older son could go to public high school, and in 2003 I bought another farm in rural Kentucky. Kentucky is my home state. I grew up on a farm there, and so I bought another farm. Really, I didn't buy farms, I bought pieces of land. So with both properties, it was just land with absolutely no buildings or any kind of development on it. Both properties were on dirt roads, and the latter property, the Kentucky farm, they had not even run electric or water out that dirt road. It wasn't even available if I had wanted it. So I was at that Kentucky farm for quite a while, and then just last year I kind of retired, not really, but I moved to Wisconsin because this is where my sons ended up settling. So for reference, this is my cabin in rural Kentucky. I had 12 acres of land. The cabin was initially 600 square feet, and then in 2012, I added 200 more square feet and a big back porch. If you are interested in a video about building adventures, let me know. All the pictures today are from my farm in Kentucky. So my solar system was smaller and limited to what it could do, but it ran the essentials, and then I had a propane stove and refrigerator. We will start with the pros. Probably the biggest pro for me was access to nature. I love being outside and exploring the woods. I grew up on a farm and had moved to the city to go to college. I knew I belonged back in the country. I am also a big time nerdy environmentalist, so living with less fossil fuels was something I found satisfying. As a parent, I am grateful my children had this experience and grew up loving and appreciating the natural world. Skill building was a fabulous advantage. My son has skills that will last a lifetime. I love the challenge of learning new skills, and I became a humongous advocate for women learning to build. In fact, I used to give my interns building projects and had Girl Scouts who would come out and do building projects as well. Being able to produce my own food in a healthy, sustainable manner was important to me. I had experienced commercial agriculture and wanted nothing to do with that. Becoming self-sufficient is a big draw for many people who get into homesteading and or an off-grid lifestyle. So one goes along with living in nature and being self-sufficient. Foraging puts me in touch with my indigenous roots and has a spiritual aspect for me as well. Independence is a big draw for many people who go off the grid. I didn't have the desire to quote unquote disappear that many people have, but I did want to be able to have my own business and be self employed. Although I will say I have a degree in education and several teaching certificates that I did fall back on many times. So I taught environmental science, organic agriculture, sold at farmers markets, and did wildlife rescue as self employment. One con, I guess, is that rural jobs are limited, and it's the norm for rural people to drive 45 to 60 minutes each way for a job. So I'm going to say that livestock is a pro and a con. I loved my animals and probably had too many. Homegrown eggs and milk are the best, not to mention manure for compost, but they are also a lot of work. Dairy goats need to be milked twice a day. Everyone needs care and clean stalls. Also, laws on selling those products have become much stricter. I bought land on a land contract both times because it was cheap, but it was just undeveloped land. So it did take time, lots of time, to get things built. I do have an article I wrote on land contracts, which I will link in the description. So, Kentucky doesn't get a lot of snow, but animal care in the winter can be frustrating and meant thawing buckets and snow on the wood stove. I will say my son was a great helper during this particular storm, which had schools closed for a month. So, dealing with the elements, wood heat is definitely a pro and a con for me. It's a lot of work and can be a pain, but the heat is wonderful. I have a bunch of articles on my website about my experience, and one of the most popular is wood heat versus propane for heating. For me, utilities were a pro and con. It's great not having utility bills and being more self reliant. I relied on gutters and used stock tanks and cisterns to catch water. However, moving the water to where you need it can be a pain. On the first farm in Ohio, we still used an outhouse, but by this time we had upgraded to a composting toilet. Probably the biggest con was safety and neighbors. Being a single woman can be unsafe, so I always tell women to learn how to protect themselves. I personally always had a pack of dogs, so that certainly helps. Neighbors are a roll of the dice. I did live next to a drug dealer. The irony is the people who move from the city to the country can be equally as bad. That's not to say I had only bad neighbors, because I had some wonderful, helpful neighbors and friends in my small community. And it's probably obvious that I'm a bit eccentric, and I was referred to as that crazy lady. Well, it's great to live out in the country. My dirt road got no public services, so no road care. Trash pickup and the bus stop were about a mile away. I was about 5 miles from a small town that had a grocery, a hardware store, and a library. Not much else. The outskirts of the city were about 45 minutes away, and a larger town was about 25 minutes. So it did make me more car dependent. I hope this has been helpful. This is, of course, my opinion, and you have to decide what works for you. Let me know if you would like to see more off grid homesteading topics. I spent a lot of time doing. Now I'm at the point in my life I want to share with others. Please boop the like button and subscribe to my channel. Fox Run is a nonprofit with a mission to help you live an environmentally friendly life through organic gardening, wildlife conservation, and more. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.